All right, good morning, everybody. Since I have the podium, I'll offer my, I'll bore you with 5 minutes of thank yous. So this is the third event in 4 years we were able to put together, which is really remarkable. You know, we've been thinking about it for 5 or 6, probably a little bit longer. So just the fact that it's possible is really remarkable. So of course, you know, Anna, Ian, Scott, everybody you heard from, they did all the heavy lifting. I'm just looking pretty from the back. But thank you to everybody in our group who put this together. Like, it's really, I can't believe it got realized, let alone 3 times in 4 years. And the fact that you guys want to be here still blows my mind. So thank you for participating. Now we've got investment by our Dutch colleagues, which is amazing, and our NOAA colleagues, so it's really growing and very rewarding. We're living in a complicated time right now, so this brain break for someone like myself is really, really amazing too. So thank you all for being here, coming in on a site, making me want to actually work on a Sunday. It's been really cool. So, okay, so I would expect or really hope by now you know a little bit about our little mission. So I'm going to spend more time just talking about what's available to you and what's been going on. So we've been up for over 500 days. I think today is actually 542. So that's been a really great run. It actually puts us kind of halfway through Prime Mission Life, which is hard for me to wrap my head around as well. The one slide, in case you have forgotten what we are, 3-instrument observatory, OCI, HARP-2, and SPEX-1. OCI is the Prime 1 built at Goddard, and then we've got contributions of multi-angle polarimeters from the Netherlands, which is amazing, SPEX-1, and then HARP-2, which is from here. So if you have any questions about HARP-2, this is the week to ask them, because you have everybody who was involved in it at your fingertips somewhere around here. Let's see, we're polar orbiting, 1 o'clock local equatorial crossing time. Again, you probably know all of this. This will be not only recorded, but the website tells you about it. So at any point, if you forget what we are, stuff is available to figure that out. So how did we get here? I said we're 500 days already. Well, we launched. There were some really rapid accomplishments we're proud of, at least in terms of getting the data in your hands. And this made Hack Week last year possible, but not as interesting as it's going to be this year, simply because there's more data available to you right now. So we actually got data on the street 63 days after launch, and that was like literally 3 days after we did our post-launch commissioning review. We've already had 3 mission reprocessings. That's what you see, 1 and 2. So in 18 months, all 3 instruments have been reprocessed 3 times, and that includes updates to calibrations, use of more attitude and ephemeris, things like that that are on there. So where we are today is part of the way through year 2 is within the next couple of months, we're going to be pushing more and more advanced data products out the door. At this point in time, we are generally meeting our requirements for the heritage products that need to go out there. But it's really just been this past couple of days where we've really pushed some of the polarimetry products out there. So a lot of this is hot off the press, and you will be probably the first real audience to start to dive in and play with it. It hasn't been really well announced because, again, it's just starting to happen now. And then what we're hoping in the next couple of months is to continue to keep the no pun intended, pace of release of these things out there. So there'll be some more community structure phytoplankton products, as well as one of the first multi-instrument data products as well too, which is one of the promises of having a 3-instrument observatory, is not just doing anything alone in isolation, but to combine them all. So one thing I want to dive into a little bit is, I don't know if you caught that stuff's kind of happening in near real time. That poster is already obsolete. There have been a couple of polarimetry data products that have been available in the cloud that are now accessible. As we go through this week, the group back home will also be pushing different things out there. So be patient, but also be agile. The things that you really care about right now is if you see a tag that says 3.1, 3.1, aim for that one. There will be some 3.0s, it's okay, but 3.1 is a mini reprocessing we had for OCI, and all of the OCI derived products will eventually have that tag too, but there's a little bit of a lag here. But you want that because it's an improved system vicarious calibration, as well as a couple of atmospheric products that are out there. But again, it's going to be fluid, so just hang tight and do what you can in terms of being patient and making sure you know what you're looking at there. So, and of course, we're going to be talking entirely about Earth data, so that is where you're going to find everything, but I will let the others regale you with tales of that. Here's the status that we have right now. Like I said, we are in prime mission. We are funded through April 2027. That is our 3-year mission life. Presumably, we will be considered strongly for mission extension. NASA is not in the habit of getting rid of missions that are performing well on orbit with tons of fuel. So, that's the plan, but again, we live in kind of weird times. So send good vibes to the decision makers to keep us going. Everything's operating very well. The instruments are nominal, the spacecraft's nominal. Knocking on wood, there will be no anomalies while you are here. But again, the data you're playing with is, of course, not just this week's data, but previous data. So again, and if we experience anomaly, it'll be like a day in the life at NASA. So you'll be part of that. And then last, as I mentioned, we have all of the core heritage products we're required to produce out on the street, with one exception that while we're sitting here, hopefully the Unified Aerosol Algorithm, or UAA, will have aerosol products being made available in the cloud. Right now they're available through our website, but which I will explain in a second. But nevertheless, like I said, this is all happening kind of in real time. And again, first polarimetric data sets. All right, so data, how do you get them? There are really 2 mechanisms to acquire these things. Earth data is why you're here. That is the official distribution site for NASA. It is the journey into the cloud, which, with all the other headaches we had to deal with putting a mission together, it was also changing data distribution. But then there's also the Ocean Color Web. So for those of you who were previously familiar with it, it is not the same as it used to be, but we still do host physical data products through our internal mechanisms. So if there isn't something that you want in the cloud, you can go directly to the OB DAC, the Ocean Biology DAC, and get physical versions of these files. This is just to share that they're out there. Why do we do that? There are basically 2 dispositions of data maturity that NASA requires in our current ecosystem. What you see in Earth Data Search is provisional. It means it's blessed by the PI. It's not standard yet because it hasn't been validated. We haven't been flying long enough to do that. But these are things that we trust and are willing to spend the money to put them up into the cloud. But along the way, there are products in development where you're working with the PI or working with implementation strategies within our architecture. Those are test products, and so that's generally what you're going to find on the OBDAC website. So the idea is we produce them, they're available for people to use, but they're not so far along that they are blessed for spending money to put them into the cloud. So anyway, this is just so you know why there are things in different places, and also to let you know that if you're looking for something that you've heard might be available or it's interesting, you can go to the OBDAC website and get those files in your research a little later. Does this make sense? It doesn't always to me, but again, want to make sure you realize there's data kind of all over the place. We as an agency are still figuring out what to do with it all. So, any questions so far? I mean, the last thing you want to hear is me talking about this shit first thing on a Sunday morning when you want to play with code. All right, well, you know where to find me if you do have questions about this, but we're going to focus primarily, of course, of the data in Earth Data Search in the cloud. But again, this is what I've been kind of trying to beat the dead horse of. There are other data available. Ask about it if you think there should be something there and you're not seeing it. Guidelines, again, use v3.1 when available. Data availability will change when you're here. A couple of other notes. You're going to see some files labeled with an NRT tag. It's near real time. There are basically 2 flavors of data that are made available. Because there are attitude and ephemeris and other things on the observatory that change geolocation and navigation, there's actually a little reprocessing behind the scenes you don't actually know about. So the NRT means data came down off the spacecraft. We did everything we could to get a product on the street within like 12 hours. Within a couple of weeks, those will get reprocessed and that label will go away. Just sharing this because they're perfectly fine for use, but at some point you're going to have a question, why does those 3 letters appear in some files and not others? And then last, if you paid attention to my earlier slide, you would have seen that there were footprints assigned to each of the instruments, and for the polarimeters in particular, 3 kilometers and 2.5 kilometers, but you're not going to use that native resolution. If you're using anything that is from level 1C onward, then that's a 5.2 kilometer footprint. So this is just to get it out there, some of the minutiae and the details here. Why? Well, these instruments are multi-angular, so they need to actually be put on a different grid than their native one so that all of the different views, which are of different sizes, can be in a single pixel. Does that make sense? So basically all the different views into a single pixel, that's a level 1C file. All right, so a little divergence here. I am certainly not the expert on all of these things, and we forgot to introduce Sean, who is not here yet, but that's fine, we'll see him. I can't speak to all of these, I'm not smart enough, but just to give you, the next 5 or 6 slides are really just some of the science nuggets that we're putting together. So this is supposed to be a little bit energizing here. What can be done here? What can you expect to do? So you'll notice they're kind of branded because we are trying to get all this information to headquarters. Pause. If you have a result, no matter how immature it is, please let us know. We are really working hard to sell the mission, so nothing is too small. If you find something of interest, we can help you advertise it. There's no pressure, but this is a plea to not be shy. Really want to get the word out. That helps with continuity and everything else. So no matter how small, if you do something cool, please let us know and we'll help you with it. So this one is from Sean Foley, who you'll meet tomorrow. He has got a paper out and a project to reconstruct 3-dimensional cloud structure using polarimetry, which is really cool. This is actually from, this one. Oh, Sky. And Fred. Why don't you talk to it?
These are some of our directional products. We have, the NDVI and all of those heritage ones from Modis and things like that, but we also have a lot of hyperspectral enabled indices fresh off the press Richmond case that I think are only really available to us right now. This, I think, is...
It's the GPP one?
GPP, that was created with those hyperspectral enabled products and some of our hyperspectral spectra as well. A lot of this work was done by Fred Hubbard, who's at UWC. I'm just a data monkey. So, yeah, we're really excited. We've got the graph that I think was published this month. So, if you're interested more, please skip the read.
And you'll meet Fred on Friday. He's Thursday, sorry. He's the science lecturer on Thursday. Oh, there's a transitioning there. Okay, this is actually from one of our early adopters, who actually was a member of this class last year, and it relates to water quality from PACE. In this case, she's specifically interested in the Gulf of Mexico. But it is showing some of the power of using hyperspectral data to get to community structure and early warning, and this, of course, is very valuable for socioeconomic conversations that we have about the mission. You've seen this before, I assume, or something like this before from CWIFS, Modis, or VIIRS, but this is actually the first ocean color visualization of 1 year of PACE chlorophyll going in. We make these just because there's a lot of heritage behind creating these things. So again, not a new product, but just a nod to the fact that we have been doing this for over a year, and there's a really nice contribution to the legacy of 40 years of ocean color as well too. And I look at these all the time, mostly because they're A, calming, and B, you're watching your planet breathe, and it's really, really cool. Sky, you're back up. There it is.
Yeah, I've bothered these guys a lot. I'm not all you need the lens. But this is what I was talking about with the hyperspectral enabled indices. So you've got chlorophylls in green, carotenoids in blue, and anthocyanins in red. And this is just a running yearly type average, or over the first year of PACE data, rather. Kind of you can see how these hyperspectral pigments that we can see with the hyperspectral data shift over that year that you couldn't really see with the multispectral instruments that we had before. My favorite, I have a lot of favorite things.
Sorry, Matt.
Oh, a microphone. I don't love a microphone. You can all hear me? Okay. We have a lot of questions about why Australia is doing what it's doing with all of that red pigment, because it's the outback, right? You don't expect a lot of plant matter there. I love seeing in November all of the reds come in with anthocyanins as things start to senesce and die for the fall. You can kind of see the mirroring of the northern hemisphere with the southern hemisphere. Lots of cool stuff. I can talk your ear off about it later if you want, but we can move on.
We didn't expect to be able to do any of this. I mean, this is hopefully the energizing thing too. There is no L for land or T for terrestrial in our acronym. Anything we've done on land has been bonus. And A, thank you, and B, it's really cool because this is the discovery part of the mission. Like, it was really hard to sell at some point because, you know, our overlords would be like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to discover? Like, we don't know. Why do you need hyperspectral? Why can't you do this with VIIRS? Because there are wavelengths we don't know how to use yet. And this is a great example of it.
I call our mission place.
Plate.
The L. We just shove that in there.
Yeah. Actually, I think Fred does that in some of his presentations too.
Yep, in the parentheses.
So we'll
I
see
take
that
the
on Thursday, I'm
parentheses
sure.
We're finding our place in space.
Oh,
There you go,
Corinne. Too early.
You're welcome.
Piyush, can I put you on the spot? Because I've got a spec slide.
Yeah, so this is the 1 year of aerosol data sets from the SPEX-1, which is the Dutch instrument on the base. So the cloud frictions are so we have a newer, I think already the say that the neural network-based cloud friction. Thank you. So cloud detections, and that's a cloud friction from the neural network-based algorithm. Followed by that, the advantage of SPEX-1 is that we have a multi-angle and kind of a hyperspectral assay. So we are also retrieving, along with the aerosol optical depth and angstrom exponent, we are also retrieving the refractive indices. And based on refractive indices, we can also estimate the fraction of different aerosol species. Like you can see here, the dust, non-absorbing, black carbon, brown carbon. So yeah, this is a kind of a step forward in the atmosphere, in the aerosol science, I'll say. Yep.
Yep, thanks. And the SPEX-1 data are available in the cloud. So wonderful. Okay, one of the other discoveries, because we weren't expecting to be able to do this comes from Zach Fashnot and Joanna Joyner's lab at Goddard. It's an NO2 retrieval. And what's really kind of cool here is not that it's the first NO2 retrieval from space, it is that they didn't think they could do it given the spectral capabilities of OCI. The steps aren't fine enough, but they figured it out. And where this is an advanced over the traditional instruments is the footprint is a lot smaller. So if you look from top to bottom, you can see that what OCI is not only matching what you're seeing from TEMPO and TRPOMI, but the spatial resolution is a lot smaller. You can actually see the highways in the NO2 signal, which is really cool. So again, it's just another one of those things we weren't expecting to be able to produce. Somebody very clever out there played around with the data. So no pressure, but that's what we're kind of hoping you're all going to do. Maybe not this week, but you know, soon we could use it. Two more harmful algal bloom slides. This one from Inia in our lab, and this one from Ivana. I don't think you're going to get to meet either of them. They are out of town this week, but again, a lot of phytoplankton work. In this case, we're leading into the phytoplankton that are trying to hurt you. And then I think this is, Moana, sorry, yeah. One more community structure algorithm, and this is actually available in the cloud for your use. No, it's Atlantic only, but there are 3 small phytoplankton classes that are being identified here. A couple of different images where the pretty colors on the right are really just showing the dominant community. And then last, let's see, I don't know, Meng, you want to talk to this one? You did a lot of the work. Yeah.
So basically, besides we have a SPEX-1, aerosol product, which has the highest data quality because it's all, the whole instrument is optimized for aerosol study with so many spectral bands, right? And there's also actual instrument, and the benefit is that it's web class. You basically can further data pattern, right? So take example, like there's during the Los Angeles wildfire event, and you can see there's some event here that just actually the smoke. And there's higher AOD, and there's aerosol substance. There's more substance, and there's the aerosol side is small. And then there's another event that's dust with small aerosol loading and with the substance much bigger size. Basically, you can use this data to study aerosol type, and also see this quite powerful. And actually, we prepared a notebook. We took a notebook, which is available in our GitHub, and we told you how to make cloud and analyze data. And we also make a complete notebook for SPEX-1 data. So you might basically label those data in the which is like packaging products. And then we have the next part, which also got fiber.
Yeah, so this is normalized limit ratios, which some of you with lack familiarity might be familiar with already. Basically, a difference between pre-fire and post-fire analyses, and you kind of see the burn scars from those LA fires, fire activity or experienced those with case data. And the cool thing about this is that we have daily coverage, right? So anytime it's clear, you kind of take this and see how the burn scars evolve, and then we're coverage after the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we tread carefully on this one because it was such a horrible event, which, so a story on that just for your amusement. It's funny, when we're talking to Office of Communications, you find out that most of what we're seeing is really bad news. I've shown you a lot of harmful algal blooms that are unpleasant. Well, there was that big Karenia bloom, might still be there off of the coast of Australia too, and it made the news, particularly because there was a massive penguin death associated with it. So we started looking at that, and then when we approached OCOM, they're like, oh, hell no. We are not sharing bad news like that right now. Anyway, this is, again, all to say, still, these things are important, particularly now that we are trying so hard to show relevance in a socioeconomic, recreational, benefit to human life kind of ecosystem for this mission. So share with us, please. And that's our last science nugget, but hopefully that showed that there's been a lot of work in the past year, and there's a lot of foundation for what hopefully you can do as well. So be excited about this. Again, this is Discovery. It's the first mission in my career that I'm actually able to grow into instead of knowing exactly what I was going to do. So hopefully it's the same for you. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up with just showing you a couple of resources in case you have questions. The first, this is not an updated slide, but the website is updated. We're trying to be very, very honest about what the instruments can do and what you should be cautious of as we continue to evaluate calibrations and reprocessings. It doesn't mean the products are unusable or bad. It just means, hey, ocean color, anything from space, is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't just get something out of the box and it's perfect. So this is your resource to learn a little bit more about that now and going forward. This is also outdated too, but there are matchups and performance assessments that have been put online as well too. So if you're curious about how anything is performing, particularly radiometry from OCI, check back on that page as well. Results are kind of coming in as they come in, so that means there's some there, but there might be other results tomorrow. We did meet our requirements, yay. Okay, this is a long eye chart of a website, but its intent is to give you some clues as to what we think we can produce from any of the instruments on board PACE, but whether those products are available yet. So it's stoplight coded. We try to update it the best we can, but you've got it's already out there, the coming soon, the we're working on it, or the reds, which are we don't have an approach for this yet. I know your question's gonna be, what does coming soon mean? When is it gonna come out? We don't know. It depends on the interaction with the PIs, depends on the availability of our programmers. It's a twisted system. But nevertheless, just keep communicating with us and we'll give you the information as best we can. Okay, 2 slides on data availability. This may not be anything that you care about this week, but you should know about going forward. We had this really complicated, immense, beautiful 30-day field campaign on September 2024, west coast of the US. It was based out of 3 sites in California. Airborne data from 2 different platforms and a bunch of ship-based data as well too. So this is a treasure trove of data that's available for you to use because it's all being publicly distributed now. The campaign is PacePax. There's a great website that describes how to get data and so forth. But again, don't ignore how valuable a data set like this is. We have remote sensing from the ER2. We've got in situ aircraft measurements from the Twin Otter, and there are a number of ships doing radiometry and collecting different optical properties of aquatic optical properties as well. Oh, and also, and this hopefully is a theme of this week too, there was a lot of flight time added to Sport Earth Care, and I kept that in just to remind ourselves that cross platform synergies are really emerging as critical as well too. So don't be shy this week about trying to use EarthCare data or SWAT data or Landsat. Show the power of bringing multiple instruments into your projects when you can. And then we have a validation science team as well too. This is basically 4 years of non-hypothesis driven work where folks are going out in the field and collecting data simply to use for performance assessments of PACE and then for whatever research you want. As well, they go through the CBAS data archive, which you can find on our website. And there's a really, really tight latency requirement. We're supposed to be getting these data within 60 days of collection. So you can check back often. And all of this, of course, is available to you to do whatever you wish with. But just letting you know those two data sets exist as you move forward. And I'm going to give you a bunch of time back, Anna, because this is my last slide. Learn more. Couple of things here. The Help Hub you will become immensely familiar with this week because you're basically helping build it. And Karina and others have really, really tried to get everything we've done from the last Hack Week and along the way into a really publicly accessible place where you can get notebooks and learn how to do things. There is a land users group, so if Sky has convinced you should all be terrestrial scientists, it's a great place to go and interact with others. Anything else you want to say on that?
Quarterly, so not super a lot of time spent on that in your calendar. We do a lot of presentations by the community who's using Lendit, or we plan to. We've only had 2 so far, but they've been great. So yeah, if you have any ideas for what you might want to present, or if you want something this week that you think would be a good idea, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're getting McKibben, our applications lead, is the one who really leads that. She's amazing. So.
And I think we'll meet Mokin later this week, right? Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Okay. You can see who wanted to see you on a Sunday and who didn't. And then last, the best way to stay in touch other than checking the website routinely is signing up for this newsletter if you haven't. This is how we try to communicate with the world when there's a reprocessing or a mission event or a new data set that came out or a meeting you might want to go to. So consider signing up for that. Anna, Ian, did I miss anything you wanted shared about the mission? And free time back. Okay. So with that, are there questions for me? Again, I'm here all week, and I really would like to chat with as many of you as I can. But any questions now?
I know that you mentioned the more longer-term timeline, having ocean color products from HARP. Are those also going to be produced from Specs 1? Let me say that.
Yes, that's the.
I was asking about if ocean color products would be available from HARP and Specs 1, not just HARP.
If Hmong has anything to do with it, yes.
You will have some test data. You're welcome.
Oh, please, yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, the goal is to do as much as we can with all of these. And of course, as an oceanographer, I want ocean color products from everything. Yeah. And PACEMAP, yes. That'll be the multi-instrument version. So it's an inversion out. It's an optimization algorithm that actually uses all 3 instruments, right? Which is kind of exciting. Others? Okay, back to you, Anna. Oh,